So, Capitalist Kid, who, if you don't know, he was the guy who used to go under Conservative Kid. Some of you might be familiar with that. He gained a decent audience under that, but now he's an anarcho-capitalist. He made a video recently called Socialist Conflates Corporatism and Capitalism. I like that. That's just one of their main talking points, by the way. Oh, that's corporatism, not capitalism. Because capitalism is this pure thing that's never existed. We just need to return to the Garden of Eden. Also, question the capitalist kid. When you turn 13, will you start calling yourself capitalist teen? Then when you turn 18, will you call yourself capitalist adult? Okay, but here's the actual quote. This is on single-payer healthcare, and it's one of the most stereotypical arguments against single-payer, and it is completely wrong. Somebody basically mentions how the United States has bad healthcare. Here's what he says in response. That is the fault of government, which controls healthcare and Obamacare. Not capitalist in the slightest. Okay, let's break that down one by one. First off, I like the part, the government controls healthcare and Obamacare. The government controls Obamacare? Well, Obamacare is a healthcare program that the government implemented, if that's what you mean, but that doesn't mean the government controls it. And even then, by the way, I've mentioned this before, Obamacare is an individual mandate. It's making you go to the private sector. It increases the private sector. Now, we can argue whether or not that's capitalist, but either way, that's still the private sector. The other point is, this is the actual point he makes, is that the government controls healthcare, and therefore healthcare isn't capitalist. Now, this is one of their most common talking points. And first off, it's based on the idea that the system we had in place wasn't capitalist beforehand and wasn't failing. Like, if you look at the American healthcare system before Obamacare, it was a complete failure. It was really hard for most people to get insurance because they could easily be denied. There were even entire sections dedicated to finding some sort of pre-existing condition that wasn't warned about until it was too late, or finding some kind of, some sort of inconsistency, like, oh, here you used your middle initial, or here you capitalized this letter, but you didn't anywhere else. Therefore, that's fraud, and you don't get treatment, and you just save the company tons of money. Things like that. And the main thing is that, and I'm going to only compare it to first world nations, because if I compared it to third world nations, I basically feel like I was strawmanning them. But if you actually look at the American healthcare system, it has the freest market compared to any healthcare system in the modern world. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not a complete free market, I'll admit that right now, but we are the only country that doesn't even have any kind of single-payer option. That makes us, right there, the freest market in the world. We are the only place where you have to get the private sector if you want to get regular health care. Unless you're on Medicare, which may I remind you is extremely popular, or you go to the emergency room, which again, it's not a complete free market, but for a regular checkup or something along those lines, you do need private insurance. Now, if you look at any other modern nation, some of them do still have private insurance companies. France, for instance, still has private insurance companies. I think Canada still has private insurance companies. What else? I know there are a few others. However, they still have the single-payer healthcare option. So while this is a very stereotypical talking point, it doesn't hold up to reality when you realize it's the only thing we have to compare it to. And that's really it. I'm Ephrom, and good night.